Well, hello, everybody. This is Cloris Kylie, excited to bring another amazing entrepreneur to our Beyond Influence series. So, as you might already know, this is a series for entrepreneurs in all kinds of industries, and you're going to learn what motivated them to start their business and also tips and insights that they have based on their expertise. I feel like today's topic is something that most people can resonate with whether you are an entrepreneur or not. You can resonate with being sleep deprived and not getting the rest you need to function at the highest level. So that's why I'm excited to interview Janine Wooten on the show. So I've known Janine for a while now, and I know that she's developed this great system for you to get the sleep you need. So I'm going to tell you more about her, her official background. She has been a proponent of using natural methods to improve life for over 30 years. She is passionate about helping others who feel they don't know which way to turn by showing them how to tap into their body's own natural abilities, their built in inner drive toward wellness. Of the three pillars of health, diet, exercise, and sleep, the one most often overlooked is sleep, Janine says. In her newest book, Sleep Better Naturally, she goes deep into the importance of getting great sleep and the consequences of not getting enough restorative sleep. Then, by taking a multifaceted, holistic approach, she empowers the reader by teaching a step by step process for learning to sleep better without ever having to worry about the harmful side effects of pharmaceutical sleep aids, right? So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about, how to sleep well without meds and the role that your mindset, that your brain plays in that whole process. So welcome, Janine.
Thank you so much, Cloris. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to share.
I'm excited to have you here. And what I'd love to ask, what I'd like to ask you first is, why did you become so passionate about this? Why talk about your own natural healing abilities and sleep?
So the funny thing is, I guess, is that at the outset, this was not intended to be a business or even a book, but it kind of has evolved over time as a result of different experiences that I've had over the years in my own life. And I'll just, if it's okay, just touch on a few of those points so you can see what I mean. The first would be my own personal experience with sleeplessness. And this goes back 40 years. So I was actually in high school the first time that I had an extended period of time where I couldn't sleep well. And, my dad's a psychiatrist, and he actually taught me a technique that I've called retrain your brain, but basically taught me a technique to help me break out of that cycle. But over time, it's happened again, periodically again and again, where you hit periods where you're just not sleeping well. So first and foremost, I really empathize and I really understand how really hard it is on someone's life when they're not getting that good sleep. It impacts every area of life. It's really difficult. And then about 30 years ago, when my youngest son was born, we were met with some health challenges that were really difficult, and the doctors really didn't know what to do. And the things they were suggesting to me just made no sense at all to me. And, I was not raised that you were allowed to question a doctor's authority, but the situation at that time was so desperate that I was forced to. And so it took me outside of the box. It took me down the path of natural wellness because I was seeking solutions that, alternative answers that would help him. And I'm happy to report that he's healthy now. So I don't want to leave that part out of the story. But, and then, there's just my personality is I love to help people. And so I feel like when I know something and I've learned a better way, I feel responsibility actually to help other people by sharing that information. And then a little over 10 years ago, I discovered the therapeutic use of pure essential oils. Now, up until that point in time, I knew a little bit about aromatherapy. All I thought was it was like potpourri, making your house smell good. And so when I learned that there was so much more to it than that you could actually use pure oils in a therapeutic way. It just added another dimension to my study on natural wellness. So in that arena, the reason I bring that up, in that arena, I teach natural wellness using the oils, but I had so many people asking me, what can I do to help me sleep? How can I get off of these medications? And so the whole thing kind of came full circle. And I guess I realized that the problem was so much bigger than just me. Like a lot of people are really struggling with this. And so over the years, I had tried a lot of different techniques and tricks and supplements, like you name it, I tried it. I found some things that worked and some that didn't. So I just put together this resource because I really think it will help a lot of people. So it's a compilation of my life experience, I guess.
I love that. Yes, you have that desire to share what you have learned.
Absolutely.
So now, Janine, I know that this is a problem that most people can relate to at some point in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Have you found a pattern as you work with clients and you talk to people who have this problem that they tend to have in common? Maybe something that kind of triggers that response in the body and to not sleep well?
Well, yes and no, because everyone's different. First and foremost, if someone's going down this path of trying to sleep better without medication, they would need to get with a trusted medical professional and rule out any medical reason. So straight away, I need to say that I am not saying, to disregard what a doctor says. We need to rule out anything physical. So most of what I'm addressing and the common factor the common denominator that you might be talking about is when people lie down at night and they just can't turn their brain off. Right. I would say that's the biggest thing that I see. And I think it's a function of our society right now. We are just programmed to do what it takes to never get up, to compete, to get ahead, to spend, consume, which introduces debt. And then you have worries about debt. And it's just this huge mess. So what happens is, we're so busy all day during the day, we don't give ourselves any downtime. Pretty much when we lie down at night, it's the first time or the first chance where we're quiet and it's quiet around us. And so our brain, its job is to help us solve problems. Right. So all these things pop up and your brain's like, okay, now we've got a quiet spot. Let's think on these things and let's look at problems of the day today. What I said that I might have said differently, relationships, finances, what needs to be done tomorrow, problems at work. So when you lie down, your brain just kicks into overdrive thinking on these things. And that's the last thing you want to happen. What you want to happen when you lie down is that you associate the bed with sleep and dealing with issues at another point in the day. So I would say that's kind of the biggest common denominator.
Yeah. I see that, completely see that. Mm-hmm. So then that leads me to ask you more about what you said. Like you said, my dad showed me how to retrain my brain. And would that play a role in your ability to then associate the bed with sleep and kind of break that pattern?
Exactly. That's exactly right. It's exactly what it is. And so when you think about it, people, all of us are largely creatures of habit, are we not? And so even when we know a habit is not healthy, it's hard to break it. And when we know that we should develop a healthier habit, it's hard to create a new habit, because that's what a habit is. We're stuck in a routine of doing things. And so people have, without realizing it, developed that habit of laying down at night and using that time to start mulling over things and thinking through things. And so the retrain your brain is a series of steps. It's a process. It's actually kind of a form of cognitive behavioral therapy. You might have heard of that. There are entire books written on cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. So it's a form of that where you're becoming aware of your thoughts around something and your behaviors around something. And then you're taking steps, like a detailed process, step by step, to undo those and introduce healthier thoughts and behaviors. And so it's too long to go into on our talk, but I do have a chapter in my book that goes through the steps in detail and help someone walk through. So I will say this, if you're looking at it on paper, it might look simple. The steps, each one of the steps might look simple, but it's kind of not easy.
Okay.
So it can be simple and not easy at the same time, right? So
Easy to
it's about
say, but
becoming, right? It's about becoming knowledgeable about your brain and how it works, and knowledgeable about the steps and the actions to take. And then, maybe the hardest part is actually the discipline to implement it. But if you do all three of those things, you have a pretty good chance at being successful at changing your sleep habit.
yeah, that's great. I was looking at the name of your book is Sleep Better Naturally, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, great. All right. So yeah, I see that, once you become aware of what's happening, because I think that's the first step, then you learn these strategies, you apply them, and then
Mm-hmm.
you should see results. Do you think most people are able to see an improvement if they actually apply themselves and they do this, or does it vary depending on the person?
Well, yes, it will vary depending on the person. When in the book, we look at the holistic approach. You might have some people that will say, I've heard people say to me, oh, I tried natural, it doesn't work, and they're referring to someone told them that valerian root was helpful. And so they went to the health food store and they got a valerian supplement and they took it and it didn't work. And so they write off natural altogether.
Yeah.
But there's so much more. There's so much more. We have dozens and dozens of tips and techniques that are covered in the book. But basically, we can boil it down into 4 categories. So one is your sleep environment, your sleep routine, your nighttime routine, supplements, foods, and essential oils that can help. I put all those together in one category, and then mindset. And so mindset is probably one of the most important, because there's some people that will say to me, like, I just can't sleep. I never have, I never will. And so if they've already declared that, then it's going to be hard for them. If somebody wants to sleep better, the steps are there. And the example might be, will it work for everybody? Do you have to believe in it? Think about somebody who wants to lose weight, and whether they believe it or not, if they get on a healthy diet and start taking exercise, they're going to see some results. But if they believe in it, it might happen a little, I don't know, how do you say? If they put the right energy and the right belief behind it, then it could expedite the results. So I feel like it's kind of the same with the sleep. So yes, they'll see some results, but yes, it's also going to vary person to person, depending on the amount of commitment that they put in.
Yeah, I see that. So okay, that's good to know. I mean, there is hope. Of course, you have to believe that it will work and take action, which is very important.
But it will
Now,
work even if you don't believe. It will.
okay, well that is
Like
good.
diet and exercise will help you lose weight, even if you don't believe.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
yeah,
It's
there's a
true.
fine line.
I know. Yeah. Okay, that's great. So okay, so we talked about the 4 factors that make an impact in your ability to get a good night's sleep.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody had to pick one thing to do today, to at least get on that path, what would be the like a highly impactful thing they could do out of all those things?
Wow, see that's a hard question, because there's so many good things. And like I said, the book is looking at the person holistically.
Yeah.
So picking just one is really hard to do. But I would have to say, based on what I see with people and myself before I knew, probably the most important thing people can do, and they're not going to want to hear it, they're not going to like it, but no electronics at all the last hour before bed, and certainly not taking your cell phone into the bed with you. People crawl into bed, they're playing on Facebook or Reddit or YouTube or something. They set it right by them on the nightstand, first thing in the morning. And so I would say at this point in time, for most people, that might be the most significant change they can make. And it's for a lot of reasons. One is the electromagnetic frequencies given off by electronics. Those are not conducive to sleep. The blue light emitted by electronics. So blue light signals our brain that it's daytime and our circadian rhythms. So when we're having blue light late at night, then it kind of messes with your body's natural inclination that it's time to sleep. And then third is what you're looking at, especially in 2020.
Yeah.
There's, it's just, you don't want to be, you might read an email that gets you upset, or you might see a news clip that gets you upset. So you don't want your brain engaged and you don't want negativities. There's a whole lot of reasons. I would say if I had to pick just one thing, that would be what I would say is just don't take don't take your cell phone to bed with you. You can, if it has to stay on, I would say turn it off, put it in another room. If it has to stay on, you can set it so that just favorites ring through. So for instance, if you have an aging parent like I do, or teenage kids or college kids, someone who might need you through the night, then you can put them in your favorites and you can set your phone that it will ring through favorites. So you don't have to feel like you're unavailable to people who might need you, but put it in another room. Silent.
Interesting. That's a really good tip. Okay, that's great. And then talking about that, you do have a list of 10 tips, right, that you're going to share with us today.
I do. And again, there's so many. And so what I did with the top 10 tips is I put down, like it says, the ones that, can really make an impact in one sheet. And so it's free, it's easy, they can download it, they can print it out. And I would suggest putting it where you see it. It might be on the refrigerator, it might be on the bathroom mirror, on the wall, next to the bed, just so that it's top of mind and you're reminded, because the more of these things that you can implement, the more your chances of success, right? They might seem small or insignificant by themselves, but it's a situation. You've heard the saying, the sum is greater, the sum is greater than the total is greater than the sum of the parts.
That's right.
So it's just like that. So each of these little steps compound on one another, and the more that you implement. So just these are, I would say, the top 10. And so I put that together as just a one-page resource. But I also want to say, I don't want people to think that they get the one-page resource and that's enough, because there's still so much more, because we have all these body systems to work with.
Yeah, it's true. Well, we'll have the link underneath this video, but it's sleepbetterwithoutmeds.com/top 10 tips.
That's right. That's right.
So then going back to what you just shared about electronics and so forth. I mean, I've read about the sunglasses that block the blue light, for example, EMF protector devices.
Right.
That so would you say those are worth taking a look at or considering?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And ideally, turn the electronics off the last hour or so before you go to bed. But I know even with myself, sometimes there's just work that has to be done and I can't turn it off and get everything done that has to be done. So in that case, yes, the EMF protectors, the blue light blocking glasses, those are things that you can do that will be helpful.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay, that's great. What about, because you've mentioned essential oils a few times. Is that something that you recommend to your clients, that they incorporate essential oils to sleep better too?
I love using essential oils for just immune support, natural wellness all the way around, but certainly for sleep. The only caveat I would say is, especially, I started doing oils probably about 12 years ago, and talking to people, they didn't believe it. Some people didn't know what they were. And so it was a bit of a challenge, but over the next few years, the challenge became teaching people not that they work, but the difference in purity and the difference that purity makes. Because at that point in time, essential oils were everywhere, like even for sale in a gas station or in Walmart, and the label would say pure. And so there was a lot of confusion around purity. And so like lavender, chamomile, oils that are well known for relaxing and calming down, you just want to make sure that you're using the absolute purest product available, because you don't want to be adding toxins to your body. That's the bottom line. It's defeating the purpose if there's any fillers or chemicals in there.
That's true. You're trying to sleep without meds, and then you're gonna have all that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's great. So now, what would you say, like, if somebody says, okay, I'm having a hard time, I want to implement all of this, I'm going to start with the electronics, maybe try the essential oils. What's next? Like, would you say that without having a holistic approach to sleep hygiene, you will always be missing something? What is that next thing people can do, not just to go to sleep and be able to sleep, but to sleep well and have restorative rest, and to feel that you can take on the day and really
Right.
function at the highest level? What would you say is the next step?
Wow. Gosh, there's just so many things. one thing, so if I understand you correctly, it's not just falling asleep, but staying asleep.
Right.
So this is one of the differences between sleeping with a pharmaceutical sleep aid and sleeping
Right.
naturally, is when you use that pharmaceutical to go to sleep, your body doesn't have a chance to go through the natural sleep cycles. It goes through 5 cycles several times a night. The more times we can go through that sleep cycle, the more restorative the sleep is, because it's at a certain point in that cycle every night where the cells are being restored, our organs, our energy, everything.
Yeah.
And so when we take a sleeping pill, it's not natural and we're not getting that sleep cycle. And so that might be why, people wake up with the brain fog and everything. So just learning the natural ways is one answer to that. But then, there's more too. It might be not eating a heavy meal before you lay down.
Right.
Believe it or not, you shouldn't have alcohol before you lay down to sleep. And sometimes people will say to me, well, I have a couple drinks before I lay down because it helps me fall asleep. And so that, it's counterintuitive to say that alcohol should be avoided at nighttime if you're trying to sleep better. But yes, it might feel like they're falling asleep better, but studies have shown that it actually makes it harder to sleep through the night if you have alcohol late in the evening. So again, there are just so many things, but maybe that touches on a few, like diet, what you're consuming. Cigarettes make sense because we know that's a stimulant. So if you can eliminate those, just things that will help you sleep better, longer, and go through that sleep cycle naturally, so you can have the restorative sleep. If you don't get that, then you wake up like already compromised and having to push through one stressful day after another, the problem compounds and the stress from it compounds. And then you have this whole cascade effect of, your work is impacted because you're not focused, you're not productive as you could be. Relationships suffer because you're not fully engaged, you're not happy, like you're grumpy. You're not bringing your best self to the relationship. You let exercise go because you're tired. Who feels like exercising when you're exhausted? So there's this whole cascade effect. And ultimately, lack of sleep has been associated with serious health risks, such as diabetes, heart disease, obesity, even Alzheimer's. So you just cannot overemphasize how important it is to get that good sleep regularly, consistently, and without medication if possible, so you can go through those natural cycles where the healing is taking place.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. And that's why I definitely check out Janine's book, and that's Sleep Better Naturally, as well as the top 10 tips that she's bringing.
It's a tongue twister.
I know, she's bringing for us today. But there's one more thing, Janine. Depending on when you're watching this video, she's actually hosting a 5-day challenge. Is that right?
7-day challenge.
7-day challenge. Okay. So tell us about it.
Well, the challenge will start January 25th, and it's called Change Your Sleep, Change Your Life. And it's just going to be, it's free. It's going to be just each day we'll learn a little bit of information. And so kind of little bite sizes, but by the end of the 7 days, hopefully you'll have enough that you can actually implement and start seeing some changes. And it'll be hosted on Facebook. So there's a Facebook group called the same, Change Your Sleep, Change Your Life. And then I'll make sure Cloris has a link. Well, it's changeyourSleepChangeYourLife.org, not .com, but .org if you want to sign up for the challenge. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll learn a lot. I'm going to do a lot of topics, and then I'm going to have 2 guest speakers that are surprise right now that are going to speak on complementary natural sleep methods. And then I think I might even throw in some prizes.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds exciting. So we'll definitely have a link underneath this video. So check it out. I mean, I feel like the new year is a perfect time to make those big changes and to have the life that you've always wanted. So, just take advantage of that momentum and take action.
That's true. I didn't even think of that, but you're right. And it really does impact every area of life. So, if you can believe it, if you can stay committed, if you can just don't quit, just, implement one thing a day or one thing a week, just start making the changes because it's really worth it. Just be disciplined and don't give up because it changes everything when you get good sleep.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, Janine, I do have one more question for you. And I love to ask this because we're always faced with challenges. Sometimes those challenges are, oh, I'm not sleeping that well. But, they pop up all the time in our life. And I think sometimes having a ritual or a go-to strategy when challenges arise allows us to
Mm,
move forward faster. So, would you say there's a ritual, a habit, something, a mindset,
mm.
aspect of it, something that you do that allows you to overcome challenges?
That's a good question. And the reason I chuckle is because I've been having a lot of practice at that lately, even before 2020. We've been working through quite a lot the last few years. So I think with me, um, two things. One is just it's something inside of me that is just a never give up. It's innate in me, never give up. And for instance, I used to, you might not see it or can imagine it, but I used to work for a construction company and I was a superintendent and I managed construction crews.
Huh.
And our boss said that he said I was the bulldog of the company. Like once I get onto something, I don't let go. And so I think that's just part of it, is just having a never give up attitude.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And sometimes when it feels like things are so hard and coming down on you where everything just looks hopeless, honestly, that requires conscious work of filling myself up all the time with positivity. And so that might look like affirmations and just giving myself a little pep talk through the day that I am an intelligent woman and everything is workoutable. I am enough. I have enough. I have enough resources. I have enough time. I have enough money. I have enough opportunity. And I'm worthy and I'm grateful, which leads me to the number one thing that gets me through challenges is my faith. And I think if you had asked me 4 years ago, before all these things started in our life, if I was a woman of faith, I would have said yes. If you had asked me, then are you a woman who prays? Or, do you rely on prayer? Yes. But let me tell you, hard times, difficult times, tests, they really are. They're a test.
Yeah.
They're a test. What you do with it, how you show up, what you turn to, who you turn to, how you handle it, how you proceed, and they are designed to make us stronger. And so I really am at the point where I can say that I'm grateful. And I know that sounds, trite or whatever, but I'm grateful. I am so much stronger now than I was 4 years ago before going through these things. And then to have 2020 happen after 2 years of already difficult times, 2020. And so without my faith, I can't imagine where I would be. But yes, I was a woman of faith before. Now faith is my everything. Yes, I was a woman who prayed before. Prayer is everything. I pray all day. So I guess it boils down to I pray, I work, I just keep on. I just keep on keeping on. With prayer, I ask for guidance, protection, direction. So sorry, that's a long answer, but
Well, it's a beautiful answer, and I can see how, it's your passion, and I feel like having that rock, that spiritual strength, is what allows you to keep moving forward. So,
and can I just interject one more thing? Because Cloris, I
mhm.
think this is one reason that I'm confident in offering this book, because if anybody has a real reason to not sleep well, to be up at night worried and stressed and fretting over things, that would be me. And I've been able to sleep well consistently, even through this and even through 2020.
Right.
And so I feel like I'm the test case.
Yeah.
So I really want a lot of people to know that there's a better way. That's the bottom line. I really want to help a lot of people, and I want people to know that they can learn to sleep better and they can get off of the medications, which is a whole nother, benefit in itself.
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
Um,
that's great. So remember, Sleep Better Naturally is the book. And then sleepbetterwithoutmeds.com/top 10 tips. We'll have a link to the challenge as well. So thank you so much, Janine. This was awesome.
Thank you, Cloris. I love what you're doing and you're helping so many people, and I really appreciate being invited to contribute. So thank you so much.
Thank you.